This is One on One. We are pleased to be joined by our good friend Joe Della Fave, Executive Director, Ironbound Community Corporation. This is, in fact, part of our Right from the Start NJ series throughout this segment, throughout all of these segments called Right from the Start NJ. You're going to see a website. Go to the website, get information that has to do with the care of infants and toddlers, which, and by the way, go back to your organization. You've been involved in childcare for a few years, right?
Since 1969.
Describe it, Joe.
And it was our first program in response to demands and needs in the community.
In Newark, it's the Ironbound section of Newark.
It's the Ironbound section of Newark. In 1987, 88, we received national accreditation for the program. We were the first private provider in the city to get such accreditation, and we've been striving to develop the highest quality ever since.
Joe, you know, it's interesting. There are certain aspects of a child care center, and I've seen yours close up. What makes a great child care center for our infants and toddlers? I'm talking birth to 3.
Right, right. Well, I think you've seen our center, and you know we have a state-of-the-art center. So we have a learning environment which supports a program. It is the program which makes all the difference in the world. And that program
Break it down a little bit.
Yep, that program has to be based on well-trained teachers, strong leadership, and a curriculum and programs, interventions that are readily available, you know, for the service of the children
By the way,
and
we're
families.
watching the kids right now, Joe. We're watching your teachers. How do you get these teachers? How do you know they're well qualified? Because in some of these other Right from the Start NJ segments, what we've heard is the caregivers, those teachers, aren't paid nearly enough.
Well, you know, and that's true, I think, in all 0 to 3 programs for the most part. With federal funding for early Head Start, we're able to pay them at a higher rate probably than a non-federally funded program. We're able to provide continuous training for them. They're trained from the start before they enter the program with credentials. There's ongoing professional development during the program, and there's ongoing support from a program director, an education coordinator, a health and services coordinator, disability coordinators, social workers, and the like.
You need all that, Joe?
That is absolutely necessary. We're dealing with families that are at or below the poverty level.
Why does that make a difference? Why does it make a difference? Sorry for interrupting, Joe. We've had these conversations as part of the Right from the Start NJ brainstorming process, and I often wonder, because our 4 children all went through quality child care programs in our hometown of Montclair. Now, you pay good money. Well, fortunately, we were able to do it. Why does socioeconomic factors matter? Because I can't assume that what our kids got, every kid gets. So
your child probably has access to books from the start, has access to conversations with you, well-educated, very articulated gentleman and family, hearing vocabulary from the start, thousands and thousands of words, living in an environment that is stable, suitable, secure. Change the picture for a moment to a low-income family with economic insecurity, social pressures around them, those pressures building up in the family, and educational attainment rates of parents that are probably much, much lower. Many, in our instance, come from countries where they have not even graduated high school.
Language problem?
English proficiency at home. 90% of the families in our center do not speak English at home, so we're dealing with English proficiency matters. So all of these, you know, are disadvantages, if you would, to a child, and that child, those are the types of things that we need to address with all sorts of programs, from the interaction of the teacher with the child to addressing special needs that the children may have, whether it's speech therapy, whether it's, you know, emotional or behavioral needs of the child, you know, stunted physical development based on nutrition that they're not getting at home that we now provide at the school. So there's a host of things that, you know, that child has to deal with.
This is what's curious to me. You're also someone who understands public policy, and dare I use the word politics in this conversation as part of our Right from the Start NJ series. The politics and the public policy aspect of how seriously most legislators, by the way, one of the legislators, 2 legislators who are joining us in our Right from the Start series, Senator Teresa Ruiz, who is frankly the number 2 person in the Senate in terms of the president. She's the person right underneath President Steve Sweeney, they're very committed to these issues.
They get it.
They get it.
Absolutely.
Are they the norm or not the norm for most political leaders, elected leaders in our state house who say, and by the way, we have a new governor, Phil Murphy, who say, you know what, 0 to 3, priority?
So I don't think they're the norm. There's two things. Number one is that most politicians think short term. What do I have to do to get reelected? And this investment is a long-term investment because the indicators for early childhood education, high-quality preschool are the best indicators for high school graduation, even college graduation. And secondly,
future success largely predicated on?
Sure, because you can't have a country of equal opportunity unless kids get that right from the start. Otherwise, the gap grows. By the time this child from a disadvantaged, low-income setting with all the pressures that we described versus a child from an upper-middle-class family get to kindergarten, the gap continues to grow. These high-quality programs make every effort to close that gap and put kids on an equal footing at some point.
Equal playing field.
An equal playing field.
Is that a societal, from your point of view?
That's
Joe,
absolutely societal.
It is a societal responsibility and not someone who says, because there are people watching who say, that's a parent or the parent's responsibility, you say?
Every parent wants the same thing for their child. They want happiness, they want success, they want an opportunity for that child to grow into their own, realize their potential. We cannot have a citizenry of the future children unless we develop equity. Equity means, if I ask a 7-footer to grab something from a shelf, he doesn't need a ladder. You and I probably need a ladder.
That's right.
Putting that ladder up is equity, building equity. These children need equitable support right from the start so that we are closing that gap for potential in terms of child development, educational attainment, language and literacy development, socio-behavioral development.
Joe, for interrupting. That is in our self-interest.
It is in absolutely everyone's self-interest because of a couple of things. Number one, you save money in the long run, educationally. If you get children ready socially and emotionally, you don't have the behavioral problems in school, they're not disrupted.
If you do it right from the start.
If you do it right from the start. If you can get them cognitively, mathematically, literacy-wise, to a learning level for kindergarten, again, you're not talking about remedial education. And ultimately, I think what we're talking about here, you heard Dr. Melman, I think, once before talk.
Matthew Melman.
That's right. Talk about, prison.
From 0 to 3, a great organization.
Right. Talk about prison growth,
Right.
based on educational scores. I'm not sure if that's a reality or not, but what we do know is that children who are successful in school are less likely to enter the criminal justice system, another high cost for society.
Invest early on.
Invest early on.
Joe, thank you for not just being a part of Right from the Start NJ today, but frankly, you're part of a larger discussion we're having with a focus group of experts in this field. But you continue to fight the fight every day in the Ironbound section of New York on behalf of infants and toddlers. Thanks so much, partner.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back right after this.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ. The Nicholson Foundation, supporting Right from the Start NJ. Hackensack Meridian Health, Seton Hall University, New Jersey Sharing Network, Kessler Foundation, and by Suez. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.